in a world where every new gaming console promises to push boundaries? What if the very idea of affordability has just been shattered? Picture this: the Nintendo Switch 2, priced at a staggering $450. It's not just a number, it's a statement. A shift that could reshape everything you thought you knew about gaming. For years, Nintendo's consoles have been the beacon of accessibility, the gaming platform that made high-quality play available to everyone. But now, the question looms large. Has the era of the affordable console come to an end? As you pause for a moment, imagine the future. PlayStation and Xbox, two titans of the gaming world, now find themselves in a race not only to match the Nintendo Switch 2, but to redefine what the next generation of gaming really means. Can Sony and Microsoft stay on track with their plans for the next-gen PS6 and Xbox, or is the arrival of Nintendo's premium machine just the beginning of a new, more expensive gaming reality? The $450 Switch 2 is more than just a price hike. It's a challenge to the established norms. With games like Mario Kart World and Breath of the Wild reimagined for this console, Nintendo has thrown down the gauntlet, daring the industry to catch up. But here's the catch. As the cost of gaming skyrockets, the lines between accessible gaming and exclusive luxury blur. We all wonder, are we on the brink of a new gaming divide? And yet, deep down, the question remains. Will this bold step forward spark a chain reaction? Or will it fracture the gaming world, pushing passionate fans to choose sides? Because in this new era, every gamer will need to decide. Where do you stand when the price of your favorite hobby is at stake? The Switch 2 is just the beginning, but its impact, that might change everything. As we dive into the rising costs and shifting landscape, one thing is certain. What happens next will decide the future of gaming. Are we ready for it? Or will this change be one we regret? Let's explore. At $450, the Nintendo Switch 2 is a bold leap into a new era of gaming. But here's the kicker. It's now more expensive than both the PS5 and Xbox Series X. Let that sink in for a second. For years, Nintendo has been the underdog, the affordable option that made premium gaming accessible to the masses. Whether it was the handheld versatility of the original Switch or the Wii's revolutionary motion controls, Nintendo always managed to stand apart with its unique offerings. And most importantly, its prices. But now Nintendo is standing toe-to-toe with the giants. The Switch 2, priced at $450, suddenly finds itself competing in the same league as PlayStation and Xbox, two companies known for their premium, high-performance consoles. This isn't just about a new console release, this is a statement. Nintendo's stepping into the arena of luxury gaming. So, what does that mean for the average gamer? Are we prepared for Nintendo to join the ranks of the elite, where the price tag doesn't just reflect the hardware, but the status? Let's pause and think about this. How do you feel knowing that your favorite Nintendo brand, once the symbol of affordability, is now priced higher than Sony and Microsoft's best offerings? That's a tough pill to swallow for many loyal Nintendo fans who've always associated the brand with a friendlier price point. We've always been accustomed to Nintendo being the budget-friendly option in the gaming world, a console that didn't break the bank, but still delivered those unforgettable gaming experiences. From Super Mario Odyssey to The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. Nintendo was the gateway for gamers of all ages to enjoy their favorite titles without having to make a financial sacrifice. But with the Switch 2's $450 price tag, it's clear that things are changing, and fast. Is this the dawn of a new, more expensive era of Nintendo gaming? There's something unsettling about this shift. The Nintendo we know and love has always been the underdog, the champion for the casual gamer, the platform that made gaming accessible. But now, the Switch 2 is no longer just a console, it's a premium product. Nintendo has traded in its title of affordable fun for one that places it in direct competition with the high-end consoles of Sony and Microsoft. And that raises a lot of questions. Is this move sustainable? Will Nintendo's loyal fanbase follow? The gaming landscape is shifting right before our eyes. What was once a comfortable, accessible space for all is now becoming a battleground for luxury and exclusivity. And that's where the suspense starts to build. With such a hefty price tag, will Nintendo's future consoles start catering to a more niche, high-end market? Are we seeing the beginning of a divide between the core gamers who want affordable play and the new wave of more exclusive, high-priced titles? At this price point, one thing is clear. Nintendo is no longer the budget option. The question is, are you ready to pay the premium? For the first time in decades, Nintendo is asking you to decide, is the Switch 2 worth the price? Or has the brand's shift to the higher end left you wondering if this is still the gaming world you know and love? Let's dive deeper into the implications of this price shift, because the real question is just beginning. Who can afford the future of Nintendo gaming? The release of the Nintendo Switch 2 at $450 is more than just a price tag. It's a game changer in the world of gaming hardware, and it has far-reaching consequences for Sony. For years, Sony has dominated the high-end console market with its flagship PlayStation consoles. The $700 PS5 Pro is the crown jewel in Sony's current lineup, offering incredible performance and next-gen gaming experiences. But as Nintendo makes its bold move, pushing the price of the Switch 2 higher than both the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, questions start to surface. Could this force Sony to reconsider its strategy? Is the PlayStation 6 now on hold? Let's face it, the $450 price tag of the Switch 2 is a signal that Nintendo is no longer content to be the affordable option. It's a direct challenge to Sony and Microsoft, positioning Nintendo in a new league of gaming hardware. Sony, on the other hand, has been quietly struggling with the high cost of game development for its day-to-day titles. The pressure is mounting as the industry shifts toward more photorealistic, high-quality experiences that demand more resources, more time, and ultimately, more money. Can Sony afford to launch the PlayStation 6 if the costs continue to rise? This dilemma is compounded by the challenge of diminishing returns on next-gen hardware. Every new PlayStation console release brings with it a flood of new features, better graphics, and more powerful hardware. But the truth is, many gamers are starting to wonder, how much more can we really push these consoles? Sure, the PS5 Pro is a beast in terms of performance, but how much further can Sony go before the hardware reaches its physical limits? The PlayStation 5 still hasn't fully reached its potential, and yet Sony is already thinking about the PS6. But is that really the right move? As Nintendo raises the stakes with the Switch 2's pricing, Sony might be forced to rethink its timeline for PlayStation 6. The economics of next-gen consoles are a complicated puzzle, and the rising costs of game development could make Sony pause before pulling the trigger on its next big console release. Is Sony willing to bet big on a PlayStation 6 when it's clear that the industry is struggling to cope with the expensive nature of AAA games? The reality is, Sony might have to take a step back, delay the PS6, and allow the industry time to adjust. At this juncture, Nintendo's move may have just set the stage for a major shift in how Sony approaches the next generation of consoles. While it was once a given that the PlayStation 6 would follow closely behind the PS5, it's now possible that Nintendo's price increase will push Sony to reconsider the pace at which it moves forward with its next hardware. Will Sony take its time, focusing on perfecting the PS5 Pro and squeezing out every bit of potential? Or will they rush to compete with Nintendo, risking another expensive leap that might not be sustainable? The deeper question here is not just about hardware, it's about the shifting power dynamics in the gaming industry. Could Nintendo's bold move be the tipping point that shifts the entire console war? As PlayStation and Xbox wrestle with rising costs and consumer expectations, Nintendo has taken a gamble that might just pay off. In the end, what this all boils down to is one thing. Can Sony afford to sit back while Nintendo redefines the rules of the game? As we look towards the future, it's clear that Nintendo's price hike is more than a simple monetary shift. It's a signal that the entire gaming industry is on the verge of a major transformation, and Sony. It might be forced to rethink everything they thought they knew about next-gen gaming. Will the PS6 be delayed? Will Sony's approach to the console war change forever? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. The future of gaming is about to get a lot more unpredictable. As Nintendo makes its bold move with the Switch 2, priced at $450, the big question is, what does this mean for Microsoft and the future of Xbox? While Nintendo's shift towards higher pricing catches the gaming world off guard, Microsoft may just be quietly relieved that it's not in Nintendo's position right now. Let's face it, releasing a new console in these turbulent economic times is no easy feat. Microsoft, for all its ambitions with Xbox, is likely watching this move with a mix of curiosity and cautious optimism. Microsoft's current strategy has been relatively clear. The Xbox Series X, while a powerhouse, was launched with a focus on performance, subscription models like Xbox Game Pass, and services designed to keep players in the Xbox ecosystem. However, the Xbox brand is also about more than just consoles. It's about building a comprehensive gaming platform that spans cloud gaming, PC, and console. The Xbox ecosystem has always been about accessibility and value, a more inclusive approach compared to its direct competitors. So, when Nintendo sets its price at $450, Microsoft finds itself in an interesting position. Is this a moment for Microsoft to double down on affordability? Or will they also have to consider increasing their pricing strategy to keep up? As we look toward the next-gen Xbox, the path forward is shrouded in uncertainty. The next Xbox is not expected until 2027, and with the global economic landscape in a state of flux, Microsoft's strategy may be far from set in stone. Does Nintendo's aggressive pricing model shake up Microsoft's plans? Are they now wondering if they too should accelerate their roadmap or rethink their approach entirely? One thing's for sure, Microsoft is likely re-evaluating its next move. With all the unpredictability of the current economic conditions, Microsoft may have no choice but to adjust its plans. Higher hardware costs, supply chain issues, and a growing demand for premium features could all be pushing factors for Microsoft to reconsider its long-term strategy. And the truth is, while they may not feel the pressure of Nintendo's pricing, just yet, the time is coming when they'll need to make a decision. With the next Xbox console still years away, Microsoft has time, but that time is shrinking rapidly as competitors redefine the market. So, what does the future hold for Xbox? Contingency plans are likely already in the works. Microsoft, much like Sony, must account for the possibility that the gaming market is changing faster than anticipated. Should they continue with their strategy of value-focused consoles and services? Or should they prepare for a shift in pricing to match the new reality? As we move closer to the launch of the next Xbox, the roadmap could very well shift in response to Nintendo's move with the Switch 2. The uncertainty of the global economy, combined with the competition for premium gaming experiences, will force Microsoft to carefully navigate its future. The next-gen Xbox might not just be about better performance. It could also be about setting the tone for what value in gaming truly means in a world where prices are climbing higher every year. The future of Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo is no longer just about hardware. It's about adapting to a rapidly evolving gaming ecosystem. And as we wait for the next Xbox, we can't help but wonder, what will Microsoft do when the time comes to compete at the highest level? As the price of gaming consoles continues to climb, the focus now shifts to the growing cost of the games themselves. Nintendo's recent pricing of games like Mario Kart World and the Switch 2-tune versions of iconic titles like Breath of the Wild are sending shockwaves through the industry. At $80 a pop, these titles are not just expensive, they're setting a new precedent. Are we heading into an era where $80 games are the new norm? It's a question that every gamer, from casual players to die-hard enthusiasts, is now grappling with. For years, $60 was the benchmark for AAA titles. In the early days of gaming, $50 or even less was the typical price for a game. But as the industry evolved and game development became more complex, prices crept up. Yet, despite these incremental increases, $60 remained the expected price point for most major releases. Now, as Nintendo pushes the boundaries with its $80 games, the industry seems to be on the cusp of a shift that could set the stage for even higher prices. This surge in pricing isn't just limited to Nintendo. As the cost of development for next-gen titles skyrockets, the question isn't whether other consoles will follow suit. It's, how soon will they? Xbox and PlayStation have already begun to increase the price of some of their games to $70, but $80 for a standard edition is a whole new ballgame. The success of Nintendo's pricing could signal a broader trend, with Sony and Microsoft potentially raising their prices to match Nintendo's new high. The next-gen consoles are pushing hardware to its limits, and the games themselves require massive amounts of development time and resources. But here's the catch. How much is too much? At what point do gamers start to push back on these rising prices? We've already seen some backlash to the $70 price tag for PS5 and Xbox Series X games, but $80. For many gamers, that could feel like a breaking point. The idea of paying $80 for a single game, especially when so many are already subscribed to services like Xbox Game Pass or PlayStation Plus, raises a serious concern about the sustainability of the gaming market. The more we move toward premium in prices, the more the question becomes, who is gaming really for? As prices soar, are we excluding casual gamers who once had access to consoles and games at an affordable price? The landscape of gaming could shift, leaving behind those who can't keep up with the rising costs. Nintendo's pricing strategy could serve as a wake-up call to the entire industry, reminding both consumers and developers that gamers will only accept so much before the balance tips too far. This raises a crucial point for the future of gaming. If the price of gaming continues to rise at this rate, will the essence of gaming itself be lost? Will it become a luxury hobby reserved for only the most dedicated, or will we see a wave of pushback from fans who no longer find the prices justifiable? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain: the tipping point is near, and the gaming community will have to decide how much they're willing to pay for their passion. As we watch the price of games steadily rise, could we soon be looking at a $100 game? The idea doesn't seem too far-fetched when we consider titles like Grand Theft Auto 6 Twirl, arguably the most anticipated game of the decade. Rockstar's GTA 5 has remained one of the best-selling games of all time, raking in billions across multiple platforms. With the kind of demand that GTA 6 hit is generating, could Rockstar decide to push the boundaries of game pricing even further? Imagine this. GTA 6, an open-world masterpiece with countless hours of gameplay, cutting-edge graphics, and a massive in-game world to explore. Given the development cost and the unprecedented demand, it's not hard to see why Rockstar might feel justified in setting a price that breaks the $70 ceiling. Could $100 for a standard edition be the new norm for blockbuster games? But here's the real question. Would you pay $100 for GTA 6? For fans who've been waiting over a decade for the next installment of this legendary series, it might not even feel like a choice. It could feel like a necessity. The game promises to deliver a level of detail, realism, and sheer scope that could be worth every penny. But for others, the thought of dropping a century on a single game might feel like a tipping point, a line that shouldn't be crossed. This raises a critical issue for gamers. How far is too far? If GTA 6 sets a new benchmark, could we see a domino effect where more publishers follow suit, increasing prices for other blockbuster titles? The idea of $100 games could become a reality, especially for the most high-profile releases. But will fans tolerate this shift? How much will the community push back on these rising prices? Ultimately, the potential rise of the $100 game isn't just about money. It's about the future of gaming itself. What happens when games become luxury items, priced beyond the reach of the average player? Will the gaming culture shift from a collective experience to one reserved for the few who can afford it? As the industry grapples with this new reality, one thing is clear. The next few years will determine what gaming is worth, both financially and culturally. With the release of the Switch 2 at $450, the question on every gamer's mind is, can Nintendo still be considered the affordable option, even at this price? For years, Nintendo has prided itself on being the gateway to gaming for everyone, casual gamers, families, and those new to the gaming world. But now, with the price tag of the Switch 2 edging closer to the high-end consoles from Sony and Microsoft, things are looking a little different. Nintendo has always had a knack for offering high-quality gaming experiences at a price that most people could afford. The original Wii, the 3DS, and even the first Switch all carried a price point that made gaming accessible. It was a strategy that set Nintendo apart from its competitors, who traditionally focused on premium hardware. But now with the Switch 2, the tables have turned. It's no longer the budget-friendly option. It's a premium product, priced above even the PS5 and Xbox Series X in some cases. This shift could mark the end of an era for Nintendo, where it was once seen as the affordable console maker. But as we look at the global market, particularly in Europe, the price becomes even more staggering. In some regions, physical editions of games like Mario Kart World have pushed the price to an eye-watering $90. The cost of gaming is no longer just about the hardware. It's a global issue affecting gamers everywhere. So, how does this affect your buying decision? Will you still be willing to invest in a Switch 2 at that price, or is the cost starting to feel like too much? This shift in pricing could cause a rift within the gaming community. Could Nintendo's global pricing strategy lead to more tension among fans? As prices rise, some gamers may feel excluded, pushing them toward more affordable options, or perhaps even making them reconsider their loyalty to a brand they've supported for years. The more Nintendo raises its prices, the more the question arises. Is the brand still accessible to everyone, or is it evolving into something more exclusive? As the gaming landscape shifts, it's clear that the industry is at a crossroads. The global impact of the Switch 2's pricing will have ripple effects, not only for Nintendo, but for Sony, Microsoft, and gamers worldwide. What happens next? Will define the future of gaming in a world where the cost of entry is climbing higher every year. For years, the world of gaming was defined by the idea that everyone could join in, regardless of budget. Consoles like the Nintendo Wii and the original Switch were gateways into a world of fun, creativity, and competition, priced to ensure accessibility. Even PlayStation and Xbox, while premium, found ways to offer entry-level versions of their consoles that didn't break the bank. But now, with the price of consoles creeping higher and higher, it's time to ask the hard question. Are we saying goodbye to the era of $300 consoles? The Nintendo Switch 2 at $450 is a clear indication that the landscape of gaming hardware is changing. What was once a reasonably affordable gaming console, accessible to a broad audience, has now become a premium product, one that competes on a level with Sony and Microsoft's high-end machines. For Nintendo, this may be the start of something new. The company has long been seen as the affordable choice, but with the price bump, they seem to be repositioning themselves in the gaming hierarchy. This transition from affordable consoles to premium-priced hardware represents a major shift in the gaming industry. Historically, the appeal of gaming consoles was rooted in their accessibility. The idea that anyone could pick up a console and enjoy high-quality gaming was a defining feature of the market. But as we witness the rise of more expensive systems, we have to wonder, are gaming consoles becoming luxury items? The days of picking up a PlayStation or Xbox for under $400 seem to be behind us. As the cost of development rises and demand for high-end graphics and features increases, consoles have shifted from mass-market products to high-end, often exclusive devices. Looking toward the future, the prospect of 500-plus consoles might become the new norm. It's not just the hardware, the games themselves are pushing higher price tags too. Games like Mario Kart World and Breath of the Wild now come with prices that far exceed what most gamers paid for a game just a few years ago. This change makes the gaming world feel less like an inclusive community and more like a luxury experience for those who can afford it. What does that mean for those who can't? Suspense builds here. What will this shift mean for the next generation of gamers, especially those who grew up with the promise of affordable consoles? The children of today, who once could enjoy a Nintendo console for under $300, may now find themselves priced out of the market. Will they even want to get into gaming at all when the cost is so high? The idea of spending hundreds of dollars on a console and more for the games may be daunting for many families who once viewed gaming as an affordable pastime. As these changes unfold, it's clear that the definition of affordable gaming is changing, and not for the better. What was once a passion shared by all might soon become a hobby for a select few. As gaming becomes more exclusive, what happens to the spirit of gaming that has always been about inclusivity, accessibility, and fun? So, let's hear from you. What do you think about this shift in pricing? Are we heading into a future where gaming is a luxury, and the joy of owning a console is reserved for those who can afford it? Share your thoughts with us, and let's dive into the conversation, because this is just the beginning of a much bigger change in the world of gaming. As we look ahead, the future of gaming has never seemed more uncertain or more exciting. With the rise in prices, from the Nintendo Switch 2 to the games themselves, the landscape is shifting in ways we haven't seen before. The question now is, where do we go from here? As consoles like the Switch 2 push into premium price territory, what does that mean for the future of gaming hardware? Will we see a continued rise in prices, or will the industry find a way to balance accessibility with technological advancements? The next generation of gaming is on the horizon, and with it, the possibility of gaming becoming a luxury. The gaming community, once defined by its inclusivity and affordability, is starting to fracture. The barriers to entry are getting higher, and as the cost of consoles and games climbs, it's easy to wonder, will the next generation still be for everyone? Or will gaming become an exclusive world of high-priced consoles and games, leaving many behind? As we wrap up this discussion, we want to hear from you. What do you think? Is Nintendo's bold move a sign of things to come? Or will the rising cost of gaming push the industry too far? The direction gaming takes in the next few years is in our hands, and your voice matters. Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's continue this conversation and figure out together where gaming goes from here, and there we are. A new era in gaming, where the cost of entry is higher than ever before. As Nintendo leads the charge with its price hikes, the question remains, will gaming stay a passion for all, or become a luxury? Reserved for the few? This is the tipping point, and it's up to us, the players, to decide how far we'll let the industry push us. Will we accept these rising prices, or will we push back? Your voice matters. So let us know in the comments. How do you feel about the future of gaming? Is it worth the cost, or has gaming gone too far? The conversation is just beginning. Share your thoughts, and let's change the game together.